Welcome to the sixth episode of this biology question and answer series, where we provide to you some of the top questions and answers when it concerns biology to prepare you to better understand some topics and to also see some of the possible questions that might arrive in general when it concerns biology. This is to improve your knowledge for any exams and to make you to stand ahead of others to have better performances in terms of these questions. In fact, to those of you who have not yet subscribed, you want to make sure to go ahead to do so because we do prepare this kind of content to prepare you to better understand some critical topics and to understand it better at your fingertip. This also will provide different science field subjects to make you better understand, like anatomy, physiology, histology, pharmacology, and many more. In fact, this channel is just for you. I'll begin with the first question on this list. And out of this list of top 10 we have to share with you today, make sure to comment in the comment section how many correct questions that you have. If you have 3 or 4 or 5 out of 10, make sure you say 3 of 10 or 4 of 10. If it's 8 or 9 or 10, say 8 of 10 or 9 of 10 or 10 of 10 in the comment section. Please make sure that you be truthful in the comment section to tell us exactly how many correct answers based on this list which you have had. So without wasting time, let's begin with some of the questions here on this list, beginning with question 61, since it is the sixth episode and we are preparing the seventh to come. So you want to make sure to subscribe and also enable the notification bell icon so that anytime we release a new video, you'll be the very first to get notified and watch to learn new things which we have to share with you. Beginning with question 61, which gland control other endocrine gland? We have A, the thyroid gland, we have B, adrenal gland, we have the pituitary gland, and we have the pineal gland. Which is correct? That gland that controls other endocrine gland, which is correct here. I give you 2 seconds. 1 and 2. Which is correct here? No matter the option you take, the correct one here is going to be pituitary gland, and I'll give you the reason why. I want you to be very attentive at this level. First, you need to understand that the pituitary gland itself secretes tropic hormone. I want you to use the term tropic hormones, and it regulates other endocrine gland. It is that hormone that it produces, that is the pituitary gland secretes that tropic hormones that tend to control all the other endocrine gland. So the correct answer here is the pituitary gland in this list, which is option C. Let's move to the next question, which is question 62. Which process moves food through the digestive tract? A, diffusion. B, peristalsis. C, absorption. D, ingestion. In fact, the correct option here is option B, which is peristalsis. All of us have heard of that term. So I'll explain peristalsis, which of course involve rhythmic muscular contraction that propel food along the alimentary canal. I believe you have listened to that note itself. So when we talk about peristalsis, it means the contraction, which is itself, it is a rhythmic movement. That is contraction of the muscular contraction of muscles. That is muscular contraction, which is actually a rhythmic muscular contraction. When this happens, what happens is it propels food along the alimentary canal. So the option here is B, which is peristalsis. If you look at the correct definition of peristalsis, it's just fit that particular option of moving food through the digestive tract. Let's look at the next question. Option 63, we are looking at which enzyme begin protein digestion in the stomach. Protein digestion in the stomach. I want you to understand it first. Protein digestion is in the stomach. Which enzyme begins protein digestion? We have trypsin. A, trypsin. We have B, pepsin. We have C, amylase. And we have D, lipase, which is correct. In fact, correct option here is B, pepsin. In fact, pepsin breaks protein into peptide under acidic condition in the stomach. It is at the level of the stomach where this pepsin itself begins the breakdown of protein into peptide, and in fact, under acidic condition. So the option here is pepsin, which is correct. Let's look at the next question, 64. Question 64, which vitamin is essential for calcium absorption? A, vitamin A. B, vitamin B12. C, vitamin C. D, vitamin D, which is correct. The option here, which is correct, is D option, which is vitamin D. Let's look at the reason why. Vitamin D itself enhances calcium absorption in the intestine, essential for bone health. In fact, especially most bone conditions where it's caused as a result of insufficient absorption of calcium, causing bone dysfunctioning or effect of bones like bone issues like osteoporosis and many other bone related conditions are as a result of insufficient absorption of calcium. And once we are being diagnosed, or you are being diagnosed to have this issue where you are not efficiently being able to absorb calcium, what happens is you are being prescribed with vitamin D. That is, vitamin D is the option where is being given as a prescription. In fact, we give these two prescriptions at the same time, where we tell you to take vitamin D plus calcium. This vitamin D will play the role of making sure that it helps in the efficient absorption of calcium. Because since the system already have a deficiency or have an issue in absorbing calcium itself, what happened is the prescription of or taking vitamin D and calcium at the same time, while vitamin D play the role of making sure that the body efficiently absorbs calcium, it helps to solve these problems. So the option is vitamin D, which is very correct. Now, let's look at the next question. Question 65. Which structure prevents food from entering the trachea? Which structure prevents food from entering the trachea? We have A, the larynx. We have B, epiglottis. C, pharynx. D, esophagus. In fact, this option, the correct one here, is the epiglottis. That is what is responsible for preventing food from entering the trachea. Because if food go to that route, what happens is you might choke. So the epiglottis itself helps to close the trachea during swallowing, preventing choking, just as I've explained. Because if this is not closed, what happens is food might enter into that path. And when food enter that pathway, it causes you to choke, which is not good. So that is the rule of the epiglottis, which is B, the correct option. Let's look at the next question 66. Question 66. Which immune cells engulf pathogens? Which immune cells engulf pathogens? Engulf is correct here. Engulf pathogens, which is correct here. We have A, lymphocyte. We have B, platelet. We have C, phagocyte. And D, erythrocyte, which is correct in this list. If you look at it very keenly, you're going to see that the correct option here is C, which is phagocyte. So anytime we talk about engulf, to engulf pathogens, we are talking about phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the process where it tends to engulf. So let me explain to you to easily understand this area. When we talk about phagocyte, we are talking about that is such as macrophages and neutrophils that they tend to destroy pathogens by the process of phagocytosis. That is, it moves towards the pathogens and engulf it to make sure that they enclose it. Engulf means enclose, to capture it and make sure that they tend to make sure they are being destroyed to prevent it to cause effect on our system or diseases or cause any issue. So phagocytosis is correct, which are phagocytes. So of course, C is correct in this list. Let's look at the next option. Question 67. Which part of the brain regulates breathing and heartbeat? Which part of the brain is responsible for heartbeat and breathing regulation? So we are looking at A, cerebrum, B, cerebellum, C, medulla oblongata, and D, hypothalamus, which is correct here. In fact, the option is C, medulla oblongata, which is responsible for the control of breathing and heartbeat rate. So the medulla oblongata itself plays this role by making sure that it controls vital involuntary functions like respiration and cardiac activity. This is because it is involuntary. So it is the medulla oblongata. Let's look at the next question. 68. Which hormone stimulates ovulation? FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, A option. B, estrogen. C, progesterone. And D, LH, which means luteinizing hormone, which is correct. In fact, it is LH, which is luteinizing hormone. And of course, the luteinizing hormone helps to trigger the release of ovum from the ovary, which of course, this occurs during menstrual cycle. So that is the reason why the ovulation itself, when we are being asked which hormone stimulates ovulation, know that it is the luteinizing hormone, because it is responsible for the making sure that it triggers the release of ovum from the ovary during menstrual cycle. Let's look at the next question. 69. Which structure connects to nephron? We have A, the axon, B, node of Ranvier, C, the synapse, and D, the myelin sheath. In fact, looking at it critically, option C is the correct one, synapse, which is the gap that exists. And when we talk about the synapse, it is just the junction where neurotransmitters triggers signals between neurons. So we are talking therefore about synapse, which connect two neurons, that gap that connects two neurons. It is also a junction between two neurons, and it helps in neurotransmitter that will transmit signals between neurons in that level. So synapse is the correct answer in terms of the structure that tend to connect two neurons, that gap known as the synapse itself. Let's move to the next question. Question 70. Which respiratory pigment is found in humans? Respiratory pigment. We are looking at A, chlorophyll. We are looking at B, hemoglobin. C, myoglobin. D, cytochrome. So when we look at chlorophyll, you know that it is about plants. So we are talking about humans, so we cannot go and be choosing chlorophyll as a pigment found in humans. The pigment which is red in our blood is hemoglobin. So when we talk about pigments, therefore we are looking just at hemoglobin to easily tell us indirectly that we are talking about the blood pigment hemoglobin, which of course is option B, which transports oxygen efficiently due to ion-containing hem group. So it is hemoglobin, which is the correct choice. And if you want to see more options and questions in the upcoming episode which we are preparing, then you want to make sure to subscribe and also enable the notification bell icon, so that when we release it, you'll be the very first to see or get notified to watch and learn new things, to prepare yourself with any questions in topics like this. We trash nearly all topics in biology, making sure we bring to you the latest update for you to stay ahead of others and to make sure that you are at the level, at the fingertip level, where everything is at your fingertip to trickle, or you can easily tackle any exams without any doubt. So we are preparing you for this. So you want to make sure that you go ahead to make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, and also you want to make sure that you watch other episodes which you have not yet watched, because we have episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and even and 5, and of course 6 as well. So you want to make sure that you watch them all. I'll put the various links below this video, and make sure that you keep updating yourself by visiting this channel, for we are on most topics in different science field like pharmacology, histology, anatomy, physiology, and many more. Cellular biology. You want to make sure that you go ahead to subscribe. This will benefit you as a science student. See you in the next upload, and bye-bye for now.